Hi, I'm Steve from the Stone Crafting Workshop, and I'm going to do a quick video about diamond burrs. I craft stone, slate, agate, granite, and to do that I use diamond burrs. And I've looked occasionally on chat boards and what have you, and there seems to be a little bit of confusion about diamond burrs and the way they work and how you get them and what have you. So let's have a quick run through, in the hope that I can clarify a few points that you might have if you're thinking of taking up stone crafting using a rotary tool like this and diamond burrs to do the crafting. Let's first of all talk in general terms about how these diamond burrs are made. They all come in the same way, really. They're the same format. They all have a steel shaft. They have a shaped head, which can be all sorts of different shapes, depending on what the manufacturer has dictated. And the head is then coated with a single layer of diamond bedded into an electroplate metal. The variations you come across are, first of all, in the shaft size. Most of the diamond tools I've come across have been either 3mm, which is the standard size for a rotary tool like this, a Dremel type, or in this case a Parkside type. And I think the other size is 2.5 or 2.4 you come across in some of the thinner, smaller burrs. And that's something to look for when you're trying to buy them on somewhere like eBay or Amazon. And the other size, sorry, is 1/4 inch, which is no good at all for people like us. I think the 1/4 inch is used by more professional users on heavier duty machines. So one thing to look for when you're buying burrs is the shaft size. Generally speaking, go for 3mm or 1/8, which is virtually the same size, and that's a standard size. The second varying factor is the shape of the head. As I've said to you, you can get them in a huge range of shapes and sizes. This is a wheel with a rounded edge. This is a little cup grinder. It's actually got a little cupped face. And it's up to you what sort of thing you want to buy, I guess. And the third varying factor is the grit size. The grit size dictates how coarse the cutting is going to be, how aggressive it's going to be. As a general rule, the coarsest you're likely to find is a 40 grit, which is very, very coarse. I don't buy or use anything of that coarseness. I actually think they're probably going to knock the bearings out on a small tool like this. So the coarsest I go to is about a 60 grit. The next size down you generally find is about 120 grit. And the next finest, and the finest in fact I've come across, is about 100 grit. So the larger the grit size, the larger the number, the grit number, the finer it is. It's basically the number of bits of diamond per square inch. Think of it in those terms. Let's talk about how you can buy these burrs. Most people will start off buying sets. This is a typical mid-range set. It's available from a load of outlets, and you can see these for sale from £10.40 right up to kind of £20. And as far as I can tell, they're all exactly the same set. They all come in this plastic box, and they're all mounted in this plastic mounting thing which normally clips in, but I can't get it clipping at the moment. And there are 50 pieces in this. So if you can get it for a sort of 10 or 11 quid, you're talking about 5p a burr. And it's worth thinking about how cheap these actually are. This set is a really nice set. I quite like it. It's a set of 20. They come in this plastic folder, and if you see a set of 20 in a plastic folder, it's quite likely that it's exactly the same set as this. As I say, I think this is probably 120 grit. It might even be as fine as 100 grit. They seem quite coarse, and I use them a lot. I think they're really good. There's a good range. There's a range of 10 different shapes. I've obviously misplaced 2 of them, possibly worn them out. They do wear out. And then there's things like this. You see a lot of sets similar to this. This particular set I actually bought in Lidl's for £2.50. I wish I'd bought, 5 or 6 sets, because I thought at that price they wouldn't be much good. How wrong could I be? They're really nice little grinding burrs, and they work really well. So, if you see them in places like Lidl's and at a reasonable price, they are, I think, worth buying. The thing you have to understand about diamond burrs is that they wear out. I've got one here which came from this set, and I obviously didn't realise that the diamond had worn through, and I kept on grinding, and it's actually changed the shape of it completely, and you can see where it's going rusty, where the bare steel is exposed. So they don't last forever. It's also true that the very fine ones will wear out very quickly. If you think about it, at the a wheel like this, for instance, is going whizzing round, and it's got, I don't know what, 1,000 diamonds round the edge. This tip here is whizzing round, and it's probably got about 10 diamonds round it, and on the very tip it might only have 1 or 2. So they do wear very quickly on the ends. Thin diamond tools work less well than big fat ones. The other way of buying diamond tools is to buy them individually. You can go on eBay, which I've found is the best place for these, and search through, and you find lots of individual sellers selling them in all sorts of different shapes and sizes and grit sizes. And the important thing is that you are able to choose what grit size, what size of roller, what size of head that you're buying. And that's quite a valuable thing. This roller, for instance, is my coarsest roller. It's a big roller. It's a 60 grit, and it's really very aggressive. As I said, I wouldn't use a coarser grit than that, because I think even this one is very heavy going, is going to wear lumps out of the bearings of my rotary grinder. So I've got one at 60 grit, and I also bought a slightly smaller one just to see what it was like, and that's an 80 grit, slightly finer. And I bought another larger one. This is about 12mm across, at it's about 120, 150 grit. It's quite a fine one, and I bought those to see how I got on with them, which is an interesting thing to do. And these ball grinders, I bought a set of 10. They're all 60 grit, so they're all really coarse, and I bought those for roughing out, and I bought a set of 10 of them. It's a more expensive way of buying them, but you do get what you want. So to recap, you can buy them in sets, you can buy them individually, 1 at a time, or 10 at a time, or 5 at a time. If you go to the individual sellers on eBay, you can very often choose the grit size, which is quite a handy thing to do. And you also get to choose the shaft size. At the moment, I just stick to buying 3mm or 1/8, simply because it saves you changing the collets in your machine while you're working. Now, one other thing, all of these diamond tools work better when they're wet. They are more aggressive because they're kind of self-cleaning if you're running them through water. They're self-cleaning, and they don't heat up, and they don't wear so fast. You don't run the risk of actually melting this electroplating that the diamond's mounted in. So there you go. I hope that helps you and perhaps clarifies any questions you have about buying the diamond tools. I guess my approach is, if I see them, I buy them, and if I want something, I just go out and buy it. I don't think you can have too many tools, but that's a personal point of view. I hope this is of some use to you, and if you have any questions about diamond tools, because I'm sure there's things I've forgotten to mention, please put it in the comments down below. If this video was of some use to you, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more about stone crafting and stone crafting tools, and carving out using a rotary grinder, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.